seeking wellness who struggle with chronic illness, as well as those who are seeking to preserve their health through a healing lifestyle. We're talking about a lot of different things today, including the relationship between the gut and the brain. Otherwise, I am a certified health coach and I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Florida in human behavior. But enough about me, we're going to focus on you for a little bit. So how's 2018 going so far? It's almost month 5, and right, it's going way too fast. And in the beginning of the year, a lot of us usually choose New Year's resolutions to seek throughout the year. And if you have been seeking them, awesome. But if you haven't, I want all of us to do a practice together. I want you guys to think of a reason why you haven't been seeking the change that you desire in your life. And this is not an opportunity to judge yourself or give yourself excuses. I simply want you to give yourself a reason why you're not seeking the change in your life you want to desire. At the end of the day, we all live busy lives. And so you need to know what is stopping us. Is it the emotions of being tired and unmotivated, fear and doubtful, or hopeless and defeated? These are the emotions, some of the few, that drive the failure to act. And these are the emotions in society that we actually don't talk about enough. Overlooked or neglected, these are the emotions that can continue to become depression or anxiety. Unfortunately, we live in a society today that no one wants to hear about your struggles, right? We want to hear about your successes. And we want to hear about your positive mindset. This philosophy that focusing on the blessings in life will allow you to persevere through things that are unfortunate. It's never been so marketed or accentuated in our culture. Like on Facebook, you always see these goal-driven stories about how people overcome diversity. People are trying to live more positive lives, but they're not succeeding. But the reality is we're living very high-stress lives, which doesn't exactly promote a positive mindset, right? So how do we uniquely seek a positive mindset? Personally, I've also sought a positive mindset, but it takes me 15 minutes driving in South Florida for me to revert right back to that negative perspective, right? Although there are many spiritual components like meditation and prayer devotion that can definitely increase the healthy mindset, I do believe that there's an unseen variable. Has anyone ever heard the statement, food for thought? What if I told you that a positive mindset starts with what we choose to put on our plates? Believe it or not, our gut communicates with our brain constantly, and for more than hunger and thirst. Most people don't realize how dynamic the relationship is between our gut and our brain. Our GI tract is consistently talking to our brains, with 90% of the messages being from the gut to the brain, and the remaining 10% of those messages being from the brain to the gut. GI tract and the brain were derived from the same cells in early embryonic stages. Of course, those systems separated during the fetal development. But these systems actually have cellular memory of each other, which allows them to communicate so freely. Our gastrointestinal tract, or GI tract, is the biggest sensory organ within our body. It includes immune cells, trillions of bacteria, 20 different hormones, and a nervous system that acts independently from the brain. And for this reason, it's often referred to as our second brain. Now, the reason why we don't see this second brain as a tangible organ within our system is because these independent neurons are spread throughout the length of our intestines. So our body doesn't really function the way we thought, right? With our brain as the main commander, commanding all the organ systems to tell it what to do. Instead, there's that two-way communication between the gut and the brain through the vagus nerve. So our digestive system is more like a bodily regulator, not just a portal for food and digestion. We're learning more and more with new research how the GI is a body regulator. But what we do know is that the GI tract doesn't act alone. It has an entire management team, and that management team is called the microbiome. The microbiome includes over 1,000 species of different bacteria, and it weighs over 3 pounds. The growth of the microbiome actually begins in the birthing process. Every pregnant woman produces this unique type of bacteria within her intestines right before giving birth. And as the baby passes through the vaginal canal, the baby actually comes in contact with this unique bacteria, getting into the baby's eyes, nose, mouth, ears, and all of the baby's skin. This bacteria then actually colonizes the sterile GI tract of the baby to continue to become a healthy microbiome. The way the microbiome actually regulates is collecting information from the food that we eat. So believe it or not, guys, food is information. And when it receives that information from our food, it determines whether it's providing nutrients or causing inflammation. The microbiome relays the information to the independent nervous system of the GI tract, then communicates to the immune system and the brain. What does the health of the microbiome have to do with our mindset? And the microbiome is important for the production of a neurotransmitter that modulates our mood, our appetite, our well-being, and our pain sensitivity. And that neurotransmitter is serotonin. Serotonin is nature's antidepressant, and 95% of serotonin is developed in the intestines. So it's fascinating to think why so many people, millions upon millions of people who are struggling with anxiety and depression, and they're not put on a gut-feeling diet. The microbiome communicates to the brain with these messages it's receiving from food. It just doesn't go to all areas of the brain. The body is organized. These messages are sent to the brain that control our morality, fear, emotional processing, and self-awareness. So otherwise, the components of our consciousness that are imperative to not only switching our mindset, but believing in ourselves and enduring everyday struggle. If we have a healthy gut, simply put, we produce more serotonin. The more serotonin within our bodies, the more inspired, happier, and stable we are. And the opposite is true when we don't have a healthy gut. The lower the production of serotonin, and the more anxious and emotionally unstable we become. So what does it mean to have an unhealthy gut? When there's an overproduction of bad bacteria and not enough good bacteria. So symptoms of unhealthy microbiome can include physical, like constipation and bloating, as well as neurological, like chronic fatigue, anxiety, and depression. So what is damaging our guts? Has anyone ever heard of the SAD diet? Standard American Diet. It's a highly processed and artificial diet that's leaving Americans overfed and undernourished. Now how is that possible, right? Overfed and undernourished? Well, unfortunately the SAD diet includes food-like material that actually prevents the feeling of being satisfied after a meal, but also doesn't acquire the essential nutrients for ideal bodily functioning. So again, overfed and undernourished. These are the foods that causes inflammation within our body. This is the start point where disease occurs. But the most common side effect is actually food allergies and then again, chronic illness. So most people think of food allergies like anaphylactic shock, with ones that when you eat it, something happens, something big happens, you never touch it again. But there's an increasingly popular new allergy you might be hearing a lot with gluten, dairy, corn, and soy. These are foods that you eat and they actually can impact your mood and your bodily functioning hours and even a day or two later. Although there are identifiable blood tests that you can take, most conventional providers do not consider these food sensitivities, so it is important to be aware of how your body is reacting to certain foods. The SAD diet is also affecting our brains. The reality is Americans are eating poisonous amounts of sugar, 152 pounds a year. That's almost half a pound per person per year, per day, per person per year. We've discovered that sugar is just as addicting, if not more addicting, than cocaine. But if it's addicting, is it impacting our brains like a drug? In fact, it is, and it's affecting our dopamine levels. The dopamine spikes, and then it crashes, making us want to crave more. But the thing is, you adding sugar into your coffee or tea in the morning or adding honey on your oatmeal isn't the problem. It's the sugar that actually creeps into the food that we're not aware of. Now let me ask you a question just to put things in perspective. In your coffee in the morning, would you put 15 tablespoons of sugar within your coffee? Probably not. That would be disgusting, right? That's what you're doing every time you drink a can of soda. This is an opportunity to really get in tune with what your body needs and what your body wants. When there's food addiction in play, these crash trend diets don't take that into consideration. And they don't take into a transition that is imperative to a healthy lifestyle change. So at the end of the day, we have the choice. Food is going to heal our microbiome. Food is going to improve our mindset. Food is going to heal our bodies. Allow your body to speak. Everybody speaks.